What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to the Matt Ramage Show tonight, Tuesday night, fantasy football night. It's the fantasy football show. I'm rocking here with RevTrev, Dakota Mitchell, my fantasy experts. But before we start talking about fantasy football, big shout out to Quick Trip, rocking with us. All right, this year the Quick Trip is doing Packer points. Every dollar you spend at Quick Trip, you earn a Packer point. You can use those Packer points to get into sweepstakes. You can win a truck. You can win a lot of Packer memorabilia. That's a very hard word to say when you're 9 beers in, you know what I mean? But you can win a lot of Packer memorabilia. I think you can win a tailgate party with Charlie Barron's, you know what I mean? So
way bigger
I
upgrade.
kind of want to win that. I kind of want to win that. You know what I mean? People are like, they're like, screw this guy. I want to win a tailgate party with Charlie Barron's, and so do I. You know what I mean? But anyways, we're talking fantasy football tonight. We got Dakota. We got Mr. RevTrev. I get those names mixed up. Is it Trev Rev or RevTrev? More
Rev
beers.
Trev.
It's the hardest. But you guys are the fantasy experts. All right. I'm just the guy that that has the show. I know nothing about fantasy football. But let's get into this thing. What is up, everyone who's tuning in live? But first of all, how are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man.
You doing
One
good?
of the things about fantasy football that's so awesome is because if your team loses in real life, and your fantasy team wins, you still feel like you've got Victory Monday, right?
But
here's the thing: we got Packers beating the Bears plus fantasy wins. Let's go!
So how did you guys do this last week? Because my real life team won and my fantasy team won, even though my starting quarterback made like 20 more points than my or my backup. You know, my bench quarterback like 20 more points than my starting, but I still won. I don't feel great about it. I feel like it's one of those wins that like NFL guys have when like they won the game like on a weird fumble. But I started Lamar Jackson. Jordan Love had a way better game, and
but no one would have known that, right?
Yeah, no one would have known. But out of spite, like out of just feeling bad about being a Packer fan, you know what I mean, like benching Jordan Love, and then he goes off. I feel like I might have to start next week, but we'll get into that.
Maybe
but like,
keep him on the bench for the Packers.
You know what I mean? Or maybe it's good luck, because if it's good luck for the Packers, I'm willing to do my part. But I still won because the person I was playing, you know, I had Aaron Rodgers. I had Diggs for Monday Night Football. And obviously, I would rather Aaron Rodgers not got hurt. I feel like I still would have won. But I'm definitely not happy about that. But what about you, Dakota? How did you do this week?
So I won 4 of my 6. One of them I lost by 9, and I had Rodgers starting. So that one, I was on the opposite side of you. And so that one was a bit of a stinger. And then the other one I lost. Who was it? Oh, I'm blanking on it now. But no, I had a pretty good week. My leagues that cost the most money, I won all of those. So
that's what matters. You know what I mean? You start paying him money, you start caring a little bit more.
Yeah. So yeah, 4 and 6, 4 of 6. So
yeah,
I got one league because like I can't manage more than that. Like people ask me like, you should get in my league. I'm like, for like years I was saying no because like it's so much. It's like when I do it, I'm doing one league, and maybe after that I'll do more. But for the show, I think it helps to have one. So like I'm just like you know, I'm dialed in. But I want your guys' help, all right? So let's get into this, all right? We're gonna start with my team because you know what I mean, that's why I have you guys. I got a screen share here. Let's bring it up. All right, so here's this can be tough. But I started Lamar Jackson. I won my league 101 to what she have 71. All right, she had Aaron Rodgers, so I feel like I still would have won. Lamar Jackson only had 6 points. I think it's hard to see for you people at home, but I'll read it off.
Just full screen it, everyone. You can see it good.
Yeah, my problem is I'm traveling, so I'm in a hotel and I only have a small laptop. So apologize for just sticking my face right in the camera.
I'll read it off because this is going to be also for the podcast because people on the podcast need to learn too how bad I am at fantasy. Oh, but Stevenson he had just under 12, 11.9. Aaron Jones killed it, 25.70. Von Diggs 21.2. Mike Evans 15.6. Gray killed me. All right, I didn't have a tight end this week. 4.6.
You did better than Tucker Kraft, though.
Yeah, I did. Then Hopkins at 10 even. Pickens at 6.1. And, I had some bench guys. I had Russell Wilson had 19 and Jordan Love 29. I wish I would have started Jordan Love. But, yeah, so, but I won. So what do you think? Like, are you proud of me? Like,
Totally.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I think I did good.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it looks like you started pretty much all the right guys. Obviously, you could have gotten a little bit more out of the quarterback position, but like I said, I think we talked about it last week. Week 1 is a lot of just playing the safe play. Jordan Love wasn't the safe play.
No, he
I
was.
mean, as much as his Packer fans, maybe thought or hoped that he would do what he did from, removing that bias in a fantasy football perspective, Lamar Jackson was the safer play.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about this after because I want to know who I had to start at quarterback. But what are you thinking? Think I did? Well, first of all, I think I used every recommendation you gave me. So you're like, yeah, you did exactly what you're supposed to do. I think I just followed your game plan to a T. But you go with
you
with
got to
week
start
1?
your studs, right? So that's the key. You did that. I mean, some weeks your studs aren't gonna produce, but they're gonna produce more often than not. So I think you did the right thing. I think some people try to overthink it too much, and when they do that, that's when they start, like, it messes with your mind. That's why you had Kelsey, because it was just a sit and forget about it kind of guy. Now he got hurt, right? First game he missed since 2013. He's Mr. Consistency. He's Iron Man. And so it's like, okay, well, now you're a little bit scrambling, but that's fine. You look at the rest of the guys. Aaron Jones is an absolute stud. Like, why is he getting drafted so late in rounds? Right now, we see him get injured, and we're going to have to talk about that. But I think, you have Diggs. That guy is he is as solid as it comes, because you're going to get a certain amount of points from him all the time. That's why you're going to continue to have good weeks, because you have the base that is really good. And then all you need to do is add the additions to it. And once Kelsey comes back, you're going to have a huge advantage at tight end. So, yeah, I think that's and it feels good to win too, right, Matt? So,
Oh, it feels so good. I was like not for fantasy like for a lot of years. I was like, I don't want to do it because it makes you cheer for people. But then last night, Bills are playing the Jets. I got Diggs. I was hoping to see Rodgers play. Obviously, he got knocked out early, but it makes you like root for players and teams that you normally wouldn't. Like, I'm not at all a 2-team type of fan, but like the Bills are a team that I have a couple of friends who are Bills fans. It's a small market team. I kind of feel bad for them. They've been through a rough life. So I root for the Bills a little bit because I've never had a Bills game. There's so many teams that have upset the Packers and made you mad, made you want to just kill everyone. But the Bills, I don't remember ever a game. So the Bills are a team I'm comfortable with. I've never hated them. I've hated a lot of teams, actually most teams. But so the Bills are a team that I'm not saying I root for them, but I don't get mad when they win. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I don't know what happened last night or Monday night. Yeah, that was last night. If I was a Bills fan,
oh yeah, Josh Allen was awful.
He was horrible.
He lost them the game. He lost people fantasy weeks. Like, he was really bad. And
he even said it. He was like, "Bro, that was rough."
Yeah. So I think, one of the guys in the chat here talked about how a lot of the quarterbacks struggled week 1. So week 2 is going to be interesting. Like, Burrow was awful, right? And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I think that's the key. Is a lot of people ended up playing other bad quarterbacks, and then it just washed out, and then it was just the rest of your lineup that was good or bad, right?
Yeah, I had Lamar. He didn't do much, but then my competitor had Aaron Rodgers, and
Yeah, perfect.
obviously he didn't do like yeah.
Yeah, in the one league I had Gino, and I mean, he didn't do anything really. He got me like 6 points. So that
And he plays Detroit this week.
Yeah, the thing with my team, I have 3 quarterbacks. People told me you have too many quarterbacks. I played the one quarterback who didn't get more than 10 points. But I still won, so I ain't gonna be mad. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
When I drafted, I didn't even know like it was a dynasty league. Like it's different, you gotta draft for the future and all that. I had no idea. So like I'm just running with it. I don't care. And then
Yeah, but you got Jordan Love, and that could be a
Yeah.
good dynasty pick, right? So you'll have some guys there. So
Yeah, I definitely luckily picked stupidly enough that I did all right.
yeah.
I wouldn't say stupidly, but
Yeah. So I
anyways,
think for fantasy, Matt, one of the keys is figuring out when to hit the panic button and when to stay relaxed. And I think week 1 can be overreaction theater for a lot of people. And that's why it's like everyone thinks that this team's now going to be Super Bowl contending and this team's going to be now not Super Bowl contending. In fact, even with the Rodgers injury, the Bills still lost, right? Like, how do you lose that game? And the Bills were contenders. So when it comes to fantasy, it's kind of the same way. You can find ways to win. And so some guys that are like some quarterbacks that you're hitting the panic button on, I wouldn't be hitting the panic button on Joe Burrow yet. But if you think about some of the other quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, he was okay. I thought Denver was going to be a lot better. That they aren't yet, so we'll have to kind of wait and see. But Dakota, which players are you thinking like we should just stay relaxed on, and which players should we kind of be thinking maybe hitting the panic button on?
I don't think you need to worry about Joe Burrow. I am not worried too much about Lamar. I think people with Lamar, everybody has those like MVP memories, Lamar may never be that good again, and that's okay because he can still be plenty effective from a fantasy football perspective. So I wouldn't worry about Lamar. I'm not worried about Geno Smith. He was really good last year for fantasy, kind of surprised a lot of people. He had a kind of a slow game week 1. I'm staying relaxed on him. He's still got a really good wide receiver core. He's got a great running back. I would be a little bit concerned about Fields, but maybe I'm just a Packers fan.
Well, it's not, in my opinion, fantasy wise, it's not Fields is the actual issue. Fantasy wise, he's actually going to have decent value, but the problem is his O-line's still awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not his talent. Like, look at how many times he was running for his life. Well, you want Fields to be running for his life because then he gets the rushing yards. But if he's passing the ball,
yeah,
I just
think
Fields
he actually had an okay fantasy week. But like you said, I'm worried about guys that have bad O-lines. First of all, when I'm looking at quarterbacks, I don't want those guys because not just is that going to rush them throwing the ball and cause bad decisions, but I'm worried about health.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
Yeah,
go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say like the Jets. A lot of people talked about Aaron Rodgers, and he didn't actually was talking about he didn't like the way the offensive line, their blocks were going, or whatever the story was today. But like, you got Aaron Rodgers, but like if that offensive line isn't up to task, just like with Justin Fields, like the Packers defense got at him. Like Rashawn Gary only played third downs, I think. But like when he was in there, like first of all, Rashawn Gary was just like he was ready to go. Like he was dialed in.
I think he got a pressure on like half of his snaps.
Yeah, like when he was in there, like he was getting after it. But like if you have a quarterback that offensive line isn't up to par, like you were saying, is like they don't have a lot of opportunities. And when those top tier, I feel like those top tier quarterbacks, like even throughout history, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, like Eli Manning, back in the day, I'm remembering Super Bowls, like when the defense actually got at them, like up their face. Even those top tier quarterbacks can't do it. Like you got to have protection for your quarterback. and especially like I feel like in the big games, playoff type games, those big games, if you have a defense, that's how the Giants won the Super Bowl. Just like getting after the quarterback. So like it definitely like when you're picking a quarterback, you should be looking at offensive line and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I'm no expert, but that's my expert analyst.
Trev,
Right.
what quarterbacks are you staying patient on and you hitting the panic button on?
Yeah, I think all the ones that we drafted in the first 4 or 5 rounds, I'm staying patient on. The guy that I have not been high on this whole time, and I know a lot of people have been high on, is Daniel Jones, and I just can't believe that a
Yeah.
playoff team goes into Dallas and gets shut out. And Daniel Jones played a lot of minutes. I don't think did he score very many fantasy points?
Dude,
I'll just look.
I actually watched that because I have YouTube TV now.
Yeah.
So I went back and I watched the Falcons from last week. I watched the Cowboys, and the Cowboys like I wasn't really playing like glued in. I was on my phone a little bit screwing around, but I think that was a lot of defensive points. Like that Giants offense, I think, just didn't do anything. Like they were
Right.
just
Well, they didn't
horrible.
have to, right? So that's a good thing. So Daniel Jones is someone like a lot of people were high on, and I'm personally, I don't know if I'm hitting the panic button, but I'm very concerned, and
Yeah.
I'm not starting that guy. But he
I
only
would
had
never.
6 fantasy points this week. 6,
Well, I'm
Yeah.
concerned about his wide receiver core too.
right?
Yeah.
Wandell, however you pronounce it, Wendell Robinson. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot out of him to make me think that he's going to be able to be a consistent producer. Obviously, they lost Tony last year, but maybe Tony was a good thing to lose.
Mhm.
Saquon seems like their best receiver, and you can't run the whole offense through him. It's just going to get predictable.
Yeah. Can I just jump in for that question? Because that's
Yeah.
a really good question.
Yeah.
So the reason why I said that is because a lot of people, what they do is they wait on quarterback now. So they'll let the Mahomes and the Hurts and
That's me.
everyone
I
go
wait.
by. And it's actually good strategy if you can get someone. So there are a lot of people that were saying, I'm just going to start Daniel Jones. He's a rushing quarterback. I know he doesn't have really great wide receivers, but he still passes it to Barkley, and Barkley does his thing. And so, and when I say high, obviously he's not getting drafted high, but like
Right.
Hurts, for example, he wasn't great on Sunday either. But I'm not hitting that panic button yet on that. Like that guy is a stud. So I think those are some of the things that I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to, people were not high
Josh
on
Allen.
Rodgers, but they waited and then they started him. So that might have been really good strategy.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Josh Allen after last night?
Yeah, that's a good question right there.
No, I think Josh Allen is still going to be a stud. Even though he was terrible, I just think like that's one of the reasons why he was so good, because he like just throws it up there and he lets his wide receivers go. So he gets the rushing too. He is an absolute tank. So I'm glad I didn't have him this week playing in any of my leagues. But if I had him, I wouldn't be panicking at all. I'd be like, you know what, bad week. And if you won, it's like Josh Allen had a bad week and you still won. Count it as a victory. Next week he's going to be good. So, and he's going to be good the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. He's not. Lamar Jackson is a boomer bust quarterback. You'll get 40-point weeks, and you'll get 15-point weeks from him.
Right, and we talked about that last week with Lamar.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, I'm not panicking either. I will say, keep in mind that fantasy is different than success on the football field, right? Josh Allen has always turned the ball over at a high rate. That's always been one of the knocks on him when you're talking about the elite quarterbacks as a franchise quarterback in the real game of football. But as far as fantasy goes, he's always been able to make up for that with his legs and rushing touchdowns. And like you said, he's always going to keep slinging it. He's got that gunslinger mentality. He doesn't have the gunslinger arm maybe, but he's got that mentality.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this. All right. We kind of briefly mentioned Lamar, and he is my quarterback.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you, like, you say don't panic on him. All right. I got Lamar. I got Russell Wilson. I got Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Week 2, if your league is my league, who do you want to start?
Let's see who's the matchups for each of them. Can you bring it up?
All right.
Fred?
I actually got it. All right. Let me let's see if I can bring this up.
I'm gonna grab a beer.
Oh, I don't know. Oh yeah, because I can pick week 2. All right, here we go.
So they play at Cincinnati,
All right,
and then let's just see what. Sorry, I got to look at your page here. If you throw it up there, Matt.
trying to bring it up here.
Yeah. So yeah, go into your team. Goes my team.
Yeah, team
Up top, up higher, right there.
There it is.
Your team.
Click on that, and then scroll down because they play at Cincinnati. That's going to be a little scary, but I mean, he could be good. Keep going down. And so Russell plays at home against Washington, and then Jordan Love's at Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know what? I think like it's going to be kind of even for all these guys, to be honest. But you have to pick one. So which one are we picking here? I want to go with Lamar because I just think he has more talent. I just think that Jordan Love, it's going to be a double whammy if he struggles. Like he had a good week 1. He didn't look the greatest. He missed a lot of throws he should have hit.
A couple deep throws.
So there's some things that I think he still needs to work on. If you see it, I think 2 weeks in a row, then I'd be start consider, okay, maybe Love is the real deal fantasy wise. But Russell Wilson, I don't know if I trust him yet.
I don't trust him.
Yeah,
I think Lamar's still the safest play and the smartest play. And
the concern I have is since he just got pretty stomped by Cleveland. And this is at home for Cincy. They're going to come out pissed at another divisional game, right? So that I think that you might be okay going with Love, but I would caveat that with let's see the injury reports. If Watson's healthy this week, then I think
same with Judy for Wilson, right? Judy's not there.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's probably really good advice, Dakota. I agree with you. Let's watch the injury reports, and we'll check back in with you on Saturday, and we'll go in.
Yeah,
we got you, Matt. We got you.
Yeah, you know, but I was thinking about like that whole day Sunday because I was like, man, I was hyped for the Packers, like Jordan Love doing all the things. I was like, man, if I'd have started him, I'd have been so much more hyped. I mean, I wouldn't say more hyped, but I would have had more to celebrate. You know what I mean? So I was like, I don't know. I'm tempted to start Jordan.
And you can. It's your team,
and
right?
I mentioned it last year. When it comes to guys, when fantasy football is a fun thing, right? Don't let it ruin your life. You know? When it comes to at the end of the day, yeah, you might be gambling some money. Hopefully you're smart about how much money you gambled, but it's still supposed to be entertainment. So if it comes to some guys that are even, there's nothing wrong with picking the guy that you like to watch.
Yeah.
But make sure that you're thinking clear and that they are actually even and you're not just
don't.
But the other thing too is for the Falcons defense, okay, they had only had 2 sacks, but they had 2 interceptions. They had a forced fumble recovery. So they played pretty well last week.
But they played a very young Carolina team, right?
Yeah, so that's the only thing, as I think they're coming up, like they're not going to do that against the O-line of Green Bay.
No.
And so it's interesting. I think that Jordan Love might be a sneaky play, but for me, it's all about trust. And at this stage, I trust Lamar more. So
the advice we said about week 1 being week 1, play conservative, it still goes for week 2. Hopefully by week 3 you start getting a better picture of who your guys are going to be, but you know, it's conservative is the way to win games in fantasy, and especially early in the season, you want to stay conservative and not get risky until it gets to where you need to make risks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I ended up being 1-0. I'm pretty happy about that.
Beautiful.
But anyways, let's educate some folks today. All right, enough about my team. Who are must add
from waivers?
From waivers, like you guys are on 20 leagues. Who are some guys who are actually like probably out there for a lot of people that they can pick up if they need some help?
Yeah, and so I think it's good that people have, you know, a sense of, you know, you can follow some guys and say these are the must adds and blah blah blah. And every week they say they're must adds. The thing is you got to look at your team and say, Like some of your guys' benches are really bad, and there's a lot of guys to pick up, and some of them are really good, and it's like, where is the need for you? And where's the guy? Sometimes I pick up a player just because he has great value, and I know I can eventually trade him away. But when I'm thinking about what I'm going to get at a waiver wire, what I'm thinking is this guy going to have short-term value or long-term value? So the wide receiver from the Rams, I think is going to have long-term value. What do you have? 15 receptions? It's like, are you
Matt,
kidding me?
I'm pretty sure I texted you like last week late. I was like, if he's available in your league, put him on your taxi.
Right.
Puka Nakua, I believe is the guy
Yeah.
we're talking about. In case
Anyone's
anybody
name
was
is
unsure.
Puka, you should
that's
put him
why
on
he
your
calls.
team.
That's why he
Puka,
calls him a
Puka.
Rams running back, because like that's a tough name right there.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, especially we're looking at
Smart,
this is
Lambo.
week
Good
one
job.
waivers. So another thing I want to iterate on that is do not spend a bunch of your free agency budget on week one, right? Unless you have a serious hole and something really bad happened, which the only bad thing that's really happened so far is, well, there's two. J.K. Dobbins went out and Rodgers. I don't think anybody had them as their like cornerstone top guy. So hopefully you're still okay after those two went down. So you shouldn't be overspending on your free agency budget if your league works that way on week one.
Yeah. So Dakota, how much would you put on for Puka? Because like that's the thing. Like, I'm going after him in every one of my leagues. I have it down.
I have him in like half of my leagues.
Well, I know because you're the man. That's why. But for people that are dumb like me and Matt and didn't listen to your advice, I've got $17 down on him, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get him, but that's how much I value him.
I think is that $100?
Yeah,
budget?
$100 one. Yeah.
I think around 15 is safe. I'm really high on Puka for a couple of reasons. Because one, I don't know if Cup's coming back anytime soon. Right?
Oh,
he's on the injury report, or the IR, not injury report, injured reserve, and they're not saying that he's going to be back in 4 weeks. He's out a minimum 4 weeks by being on the IR. Right? At the same time, I think Tutu Atwell is solid, but I don't think that he has progressed as fast as they thought he would. I think Van Jefferson is a wide receiver 2. He's not a wide receiver 1. So I think there's a clear path for Puka to get to wide receiver 1 status, assuming Kupp is out for a long time. So I'm comfortable with you going up to like 15%, maybe 20%, like you have it, but I would not go over that, because it is still week one. There's still question marks. And the other part about it is it's week one. There's, 14 weeks or so more till playoffs where injuries happen. And if you spend all your money on your free agency budget on the week one, and you got guys that get injured, and then there's always a lot of guys near the end of the season that's like, this is the guy you need for that playoff rush. And you want to make sure that you have the budget available to get who you want at the end of the season.
Yeah. So just a quick fantasy tip you guys might want to know about. So I really like what Dakota had to say. But so if you decide $15 is what you want to do, never do 15. Do 16. Yeah. Always do the one. If you don't do 10, do 11. Don't do 5, do 6. Because I have so many times had buddies who were like, I'm going to do 10. And I got them because I spent $1 more. And it was the difference between winning that week or weeks or even going to championships. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, I always do that. Don't ever stop on 5, 10, 15, 20. Always go one over.
Just one over.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll go 2 over if I'm feeling real strong about him. Like you went 17 for Puka, you're feeling strong about him, and we're saying 15% is kind of the ceiling, so 17 is okay.
Yeah. So there's no one though there. Sorry, Matt. There's no one there that you're going to be spending 30% on, right? Like these running backs. What if you don't have? What if you have Eckler? What if you have Eckler and you want Kelly, right? Because he might go for a lot more than. What do you think?
I'm not spending over probably like if it's $100 budget, I'm probably not going over like 6 to 7 for Kelly. How do you feel about him?
It's cheap.
Well, I just don't think you're going to get him if you do that. So if you
that's
want to
fine
get
with
him,
me.
that's fine. But I agree with you. I look at these running backs and I'm thinking, like, which ones are going to actually make a difference? So Kieran Williams for the Rams has got some good value. I think Roschon Johnson for the Bears, he's showed some promise. I actually like him a lot, but because there's so many guys available, you wouldn't really need to put too much on him. I would even say like $10 or less. But in my league, you guys are going to be blown away. Tyler Algier is available. And I don't know why the guy who had Bijan Robinson didn't have him as a handcuff. Like, and I just think, like, if Bijan goes down, Algier is the guy. So I don't know. Some of you guys are like, well, I wish I was in a league like that. Well, it's because I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what I was doing. I wanted to get Deion Jackson because I thought he was going to be great. He was terrible. So yeah, I would spend a lot of money for Algier.
Deion Jackson.
Pardon me?
I didn't advise Deion Jackson.
I never asked your opinion on that one. Sorry, Matt. So you were going to say something?
No, I want to get to a question because I like this question. I have to find it. I think that this is a good question. Tua or Lamar? First of all, because I have Lamar, I don't have Tua, but I still like to hear talk about my quarterback.
Yeah, for me,
I think this is good.
For me, it's Tua. I am high on Tua. In fact, if I drafted a quarterback high, I always try to get Tua later. I just felt like his value, like he's one of those guys when healthy can put up monster numbers, and when you have Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's got such a better receiving core than Lamar. Yeah. And so I'm all in on Tua. So that's who I would take. And it wouldn't be close. I wouldn't even think about it.
Yep, I would too.
All right, there we go.
All right, so I'd like to double down on Kyren or Kieran, however you pronounce it.
Yep.
Kyren Williams. I was high on him last season. In fact, I picked him up in a couple of my leagues. Late on the waivers, like maybe mid-season, because I expected him to kind of come out, and he did a little bit at the end of the season, but never really matured. I was a little bit hesitant this year due to the fact that Cam Akers had a strong kind of finish, and but Cam has been, I mean, this is his 4th year now, and he's been up and down. He's had streaks where he's been good, and then he was like not even like on the team for a little bit, and then he worked his way back. I think they drafted Williams to be their future, and Cam looked bad week 1. Week 1, that he's not ready yet, but he's a good guy. He's got the full skill set. He can catch it. He can go in between the tackles and he can hit the edge. I like him. So when I'm picking up waiver wires in week 1, I'm looking for the long-term guys. I don't want to fill in because hopefully I drafted well enough that I don't need a fill-in yet. You know, I'm not trying to stream a guy. We don't have bye weeks yet. So you should be looking for the long-term, assuming you didn't completely botch your draft.
Yeah, assuming you weren't blacked out drunk while you drafted.
So I like him long-term. I like Roschon long-term. I think I talked about that last week too. I think Herbert was always their change of pace guy with Montgomery. Herbert has a lot of talent, but he's not a every down back. I think Roschon's going to win off a bigger role as the season progresses. I like Jaylen Warren. I mentioned him last week. He's still available in more than 50% of leagues, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you can get him cheap.
And I mean, he looked way better than Najee Harris did, even though that whole team looked like crap. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but they had Jaylen Warren in at all the passing situations. He's a better receiving back. And not only is he a better receiving back, he's also a better back in pass protection.
Yeah.
And those are things that win you snaps with coaches, especially guys like Tomlin. So I expect his role to expand. So those are guys that I'm looking back at the running backs that I'm very interested in. Mm-hmm. Kenneth Gainwell too.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this.
But I'm not huge on Gainwell. Sorry, Matt.
No, go
just
ahead.
quickly, that whole situation. I think 1 week Swift's going to be good. 1 week Gainwell's going to be good. I don't think that's a backfield I want to trust. And then Hurts is the guy who
Yeah.
rushes. So now
And we
watching
talked
1
about
week,
that.
I'm kind of more staying away. I think those other guys that you mentioned are much better pickups.
Yeah.
But
No,
if you
agreed.
can't get those guys, I think going and snagging Gainwell, that's a good idea.
That's how I feel. Yeah, those other guys are my top 3 running backs.
Okay.
If you got Gainwell there and you strike out on them, but then let's talk about the Baltimore running back situation. Where do you fall on that?
Well, that's the problem. They're always falling down.
Yeah.
Right? They're always injured. So I think Gus is a solid guy. I just don't think he's a league winner, but I don't know. Maybe he's a guy who can, maybe you spend a couple dollars and just stash him on your bench and it's okay. But I mean, who's the other guy there again?
You got Justice Hill.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like who, right? Like that's kind of like the feeling I have with him. So I don't know. I don't know enough about Justice Hill to say. I think Gus is the safer play, but I don't know. What do you think, Dakota?
I think Gus is the safer play. I agree that I'm worried about that backfield in general. Even when we knew J.K. Dobbins was going to be the guy this season, he still was falling in drafts because there's a lot of hesitancy for that backfield. They don't seem to use their running backs super effectively because Lamar Jackson's their starting running back.
Yeah.
But if you do have the space on your roster and you got a guy that you can drop easily, or you're putting a guy on IR, and that's the other thing, make sure you use your IRs.
Yes.
But if you got a guy that you can put on the IR for a week and you want a no risk, barely spend any money type of pickup, I think it's fine to go grab Gus. And even if you can't get Gus, roll it down, hold him for a week while your guy's on IR or something, see what happens. But if you need a running back bad, those first 3 guys, Kyron, Jalen Warren, and Roshan, I think are the top 3 targets.
Yeah. And I like what Lambo said in the chat. He said they could bring in a vet free agent too. Like Kareem Hunt maybe is a guy that comes in. That's a guy I'd be like, I want to be close to my, either I'll have him stashed on it. But it depends how big your league. If you're in a 14-team league, I think it's worth having a guy like Kareem Hunt just in case.
Oh, yeah.
And then, but if not.
If
right?
it's Melvin Gordon, like he said, I'd stay away.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's Kareem Hunt, I'm very intrigued.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have any wide receivers aside from
I've got 4 wide receivers that I just want to encourage people to either pick up or and it depends on what's league. I mean, Puka's available in my league. I'm going after him. But also I was high on Romeo Doubs. I made a video about sleeper wide receivers, and Romeo Doubs and Rashid Shaheed was both on that list. I only had 4 wide receivers on that list, and 2 of them were there. And I'm like, man, why aren't people got him on that route? His speed is unbelievable. Rashid's speed is unbelievable, people.
Rashid Shaheed?
Yeah, Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, yeah. I've got him as my number 2. I didn't put Dobbs on my list because maybe I read the wrong thing, but I thought he was over 50%. But if he's available, absolutely pick him up.
Yeah, he's definitely not.
In every league that I'm in, he got drafted, and if he didn't get, if he was either drafted by me or somebody else. So,
well,
I got him in like half my league at the end of the drafts, because why wouldn't I?
All right, so let's get to this one right here. All right, the panic button versus stay and relax. What do you do? First of all, this isn't my question because obviously I'm not the fantasy expert. But what do you got? So panic button versus stay and relax.
So a guy that you need to stay relaxed on is Gibbs off of the Lions. If you didn't watch the game and you're just sitting there and going, oh my goodness, he only had this many and I drafted him in the 4th round. I'm telling you right now, I'm a shark. Blood's in the water. He had a bad week fantasy wise, and I'm trying to get him.
Yeah,
I'm
hoping 9 points for a rookie in his first game ever is fine.
Right.
First of all,
and he has.
And if you're upset about that, you should reconsider some things. So how you're evaluating.
So that's a good point, Dakota. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Gibbs was obviously electric when he had the ball in the open field. He was making plays. He was breaking tackles. Gibbs struggled from what I was watching when he was trying to find the hole between the tackles, and that's a rookie. It's going to take a little bit for him to get the read on the speed of these linebackers coming in and filling those gaps and stuff like that. But I would not panic on Gibbs at all. And Montgomery, we know what he is, and he's a fine guy for getting a couple yards when you need him. But Gibbs is
he's special,
super talent.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get Mr. RevTrev. Let's get your final thoughts, fantasy wise. If you had like a minute or two, and it just had to give someone advice, someone come up to you like, "Yo, what should I do in fantasy?" What do you got for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think look at your roster and make sure, like, where are you strong, where are you weak. Try to improve your weak areas, right? Make sure that you're like, that's where the waiver wire is smart. You got to be really smart there. But there's one of the things that people aren't thinking enough about is defenses. And I mean, I don't know, maybe you're not in a league that has defense. I do. I had Dallas, guys. I won my week because they're second highest fantasy point. Now, are they going to be like that every week? There's some really sneaky plays. In fact, going back to the Lions, they're playing Seattle, who looked really bad in the second half. That might be a great defense to pick up if you're streaming defenses. But there's a number of defenses out there that I've got my eye on that could be there as well. There is also a bunch of tight ends that are available in some leagues. For example, the Denver guy, is it Dulich? Whatever.
Yeah, Greg Dulich.
He's hurt now. That's another guy. So people are going to be looking. There's Musgrave that's still available. I think he had a pretty good day. I would be really interested in him. Of course, not just being a Packers fan, he's just got talent, right? And so let me just bring up that.
Yeah, I'm in a league with a lot of Packer fans. It was hard to come by.
Okay, so let's not go. The question was in the chat, like Hunter Henry. I think he's the number one option there for Mac Jones. He's the safe play. That's a good one to pick up as well. Sam Laporta is someone just to keep your eye on. He might be good.
I'm big on Sam Laporta. I don't know why he's a free agent. But you keep getting on your point. Sorry, I didn't want to.
No. That's true. So that's all good. So that's kind of where I'm at. Those are some of the things I would say. But yeah. But anyways, I got to run. Yeah. Thanks so much, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it. I hope everyone out there, you won your league last week, and you're going to win this week. Really appreciate each one stopping by and being a part of this.
No, hey, we appreciate you spreading your knowledge of fantasy football with all of us peasants. You know what I mean? Besides Dakota, he knows what's going on. But it's good to get both your point of views. But we'll let you step away. We'll get Coda's last point. Let him give his
he'll do this
final thoughts.
He could do some sit and start, so he'll do a good job.
Yeah. We can get some starts from the comments.
Okay.
We'll talk to you next week, sir.
I got to go to work, so see you guys.
All right. Have fun at work. Thanks. All right, so Dakota, let's get to you. All right.
Sure.
What is your, like, if you had to give a final thought, final points to someone you're giving advice to for fantasy football, what are you telling them this week? Obviously, it helps better if you know their team, but just like some broad advice, what do you got?
Broad advice is I'm not panicking on most everybody right now. It's week 1. I mean, Jamar Chase had a bad game. It's like Joe Burrow. We saw a bunch of studs not perform. It's just week 1. Make sure that you're not overspending. There's only, I think we talked about it, there's only really one guy on waivers that I think is worth spending over 10% of your free agency budget, and that's Puka. Don't spend too much on week 1 waivers. Make sure you're looking at the long term for week 1 waivers, because there's no reason to try to stream a guy right now, unless, like we said, we're a couple too many beers deep at your draft.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Rodgers.
That
fall out from Aaron Rodgers. I think there was 2 guys on that roster that were worth fantasy consideration, and those are Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. I
It's
do not
Dunzo.
I
It's
do not think
Dunzo.
I do not think Dalvin Cook should have really been on people's radars. I was very happy that they did that just because I could get Brees Hall for cheaper in my drafts because I had people that were discounting him because they signed Dalvin Cook. Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson are still going to be fine. They're still going to put up points. I mean, the only guy that Zach Wilson completed passes to was Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
And Brees Hall, I mean, that dude's literally one of the best running backs in the league. And he looked super healthy last night. He would have had more if maybe he had logged more practices. He just ran out of gas on a couple of runs after he beat the whole defense.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen in a couple weeks. He's just going to – those are touchdowns. So I'm patient. And we're talking about the stay panic, panic or relax. I'm relaxed on Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. Obviously, their value drops a little bit, right? But I don't think it's going to be monumental. So those are guys that you might want to target in trades if you feel like it.
So, my biggest thing we talked about earlier, and this will be the last subject, and we'll let you get out of this thing. But Lamar, all right, I have Lamar. I'm a little bit worried. I tried to trade him. I was that Packer game, and I was talking about trading him. Calm down. And then not because I love Lamar. First of all, as a player, he's one of my favorite players to watch. I love watching Lamar play. But also I have Jordan Love and he killed it. So I'm I don't know. This week I'm thinking about starting Jordan Love. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. But
yeah,
I feel like I watched that Falcons game today. I feel like not offensive Jordan Love fantasy wise for me, but their offensive line I feel like is weak pass rushing. The little bit that I watch, I'm not no film expert or at all.
Grinding tape, I hear you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I've been trying to. I've been watching some tape. You know what I mean? No, but I feel like their offensive line they ran the ball pretty good from what I saw. I'm gonna say I didn't watch it 30 times. I wasn't. I'm not a film expert, but what I watched, I was I feel like the pass rush is a vulnerability, and I feel like the Packers pass rush is. Rashawn Gary only played third downs, but he's just a beast. I feel like Rashawn Gary's got the devil inside of him. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I feel like he's just so fiery. He's just so he's got something, and I feel like he's just gonna destroy them. I feel like the Packers pass rush is gonna absolutely destroy Atlanta. I'm not sure I have a fantasy question here, but I just wanted to say that.
I feel good about it too. I'm a little stitious, so I won't say it in those such concrete terms. But no, I feel good about our defensive line. I really like Gary. He's going to get more snaps. Like I said, I think he got a pressure on half the snaps he played or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think he didn't play a lot, but
every time he was in, he pretty much got a pressure. So
I will say Rashawn Gary. I commented this on his post. I don't think anyone's hungrier than Rashawn Gary. I think some people might be as hungry because I'm not going to say nobody is dialed in as him, but nobody's more. Nobody's more dialed in than Rashawn Gary. He's an absolute animal. He lives, breathes, sleeps football. He's just dialed in. You see that video. I think it was Jordan Love, AJ Dillon. They're normal. I'm not sure. Obviously, Jordan Love played quite well, but Rashawn Gary just speed walked past me. He was like, "Let me hit someone." You know what I mean? He's dialed in. So I love it, and that's not fantasy wise. That's just me being a Packer fan. But the Packers are 1-0. All right, Dakota.
Hey guys, that was inside information because Ramage has danced with Rashawn Gary before.
You know what I mean? We got that. We got a dance group going on. But be sure to check out thematramage.com. Find my merch store. All right. I was gonna have some next week.
Yeah.
We'll show a lot of designs. That's one, right? Dakota's got so many designs. He helps.
Too.
Yeah. He helped with my store. My whole store is by Dakota. All right. So be sure to check out thematramage.com. Also, how do you pronounce your store?
Campeche.
Yeah. See, like in my head, it sounds different. So I was like,
No.
I never said it out loud.
It was probably a terrible name for me to pick
Oh, it's
because
good.
it's not easy to spell. It's not an English word, and no one knows how to pronounce it. But
Just know that fire ass merch comes from that place. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
the Campeche. It was for me, and I'll bring this in real quick just because this happened this week. We lost Jimmy Buffett, who I'm a big fan of. I think most of the world is, and so it's the pirate theme. Jean Lafitte, the pirate, his pirate outpost, I guess you want to call it, in Texas on Galveston Island was Campeche. So that's where the name comes from.
There you go. And you got fire merch anyways. The
Oh,
name
thank
is
you.
hard to say, but
Hard to
you can help me
say.
out. So like Victory Monday shirts, people forget about them. I forgot about, but we got Victory Monday. Victory Monday is gonna be a shirt you're gonna wear all year long. We got like
Knock
you
on
got All
wood.
You Need Is Love. You got all types of other stuff, but yeah, a lot of cool
Air
merch.
Jordan here.
You know what I mean? There we go. But before we get out of this thing, I do want to give anyways, no, I think we'll just end this thing. All right.
All
So big shout to Dakota and RevTrev. RevTrev has his own YouTube channel talking fantasy football, talking all types of good stuff. I think he's awesome. Dakota's awesome. He's got the cool merch. And go Pack, go Packers are 1-1 or 1-0. Oh no. What am I doing?
1-0. Undefeated.
And they're about to be 2-0 because they're playing the Falcons next. I watched the tape.
So
They're
you
not
did
good.
it
You know what I
again.
mean? You know what I mean? They're not. They're not a good football team. Is all
I'm
saying.
knocking on wood for you every time. Just I hope you know this. I'm not sure if the mic's picking it up, but
Here we go. On to 2-0 fantasy wise. On to 2-0 for the Green Bay Packers. Go Pack, go. Big shot Dakota. Big shot to RevTrev. And we are out this thing, people.